Hey everybody, it's Chris, and today we're going to talk about building a bag. Now this is a topic I've been asked a few times over the last couple of years, and to be honest, I just wasn't sure how to really answer it. I needed to kind of figure out what my philosophy was, how I did things so that I could put those ideas out there. And in the process, I really decided that I don't think there's one real way to do it, so we're going to even talk about some reasons that you would do it differently than I do. So this is my philosophy. It might help you, it might not. But let's have a good discussion at the end. Things that you would do differently, things that you maybe agree with me on, because if you want to call me a genius, I'm for it. But, you know, tear me down. Or not even tear me down, just tell me how your philosophy is different. And that's, I think that good discussion, maybe we need to do this video again in 3 to 6 months, I think that is very important. So without further ado, what are some ideas that I have? Well, I think no matter how you're building your bag, you have the concept of speeds and stabilities. So we have to start there. Now we're going to talk about putters, mids, fairways, long-range drivers. Those distances. Now there are some gradients in there that we can acknowledge, but those are the 4 basics. And we have 3 basic flights. We have a straight flight, an understable flight, and an overstable flight. Now for me personally, instead of just those 3 flights, I actually want 4. I want the extremes, and then I want 2 in the center that diverge a little bit. That gives me a little more variety in my throws that I can adjust, and I prefer that. You may or may not. That's okay. Now with those 4 flights, I'm a mold minimalist. In fact, I think I even eliminated a mold last night. I have 4 core molds. Most courses you play with me on, you're going to see me throw 4 discs and then maybe the complements, but definitely the 4. For putters, I throw a lot of judges. For mids, I throw a lot of truths. For fairways, I throw a lot of escapes. And for long-range drivers, I throw raiders. Now let's talk about that a little bit. I'm looking for discs that give me a turn of 0 and a fade of 2 if you look at flight numbers. So what that means is I get a really straight flight when I throw with power and a reliable fade. Not a super overstable fade, just a nice reliable fade. What that allows is a lot of line shaping. So with a brand new disc, I can get a really nice hyzer line, I can get that flight, or if I really crank on it, I can get a pretty straight flight, and if I turn it over, it should pan out at the end of the flight and come down flat. Gives me a lot of variety with a fresh disc. It also allows me to throw beat-in versions that are straight and really beat-in versions that are flippy. So I get 3 of the 4 flights I described on the flight chart with 1 mold. And then I have a complement. So with the judges, yeah, I carry those 3 judges, but then I have a suspect. And what the suspect is a little more overstable. It's a little more aggressive fade. So I can throw it in windy conditions or if I just need more hyzer. So that's my complementary disc for the putters. For mid-ranges, I carry a lot of truths, but I carry old run truths. So when I say truth, you should probably think EMAC. Now the EMAC truth is going to give you a nice straight flight with a reliable fade. Gatekeeper is another good option, by the way. As it breaks in, straighter flight, older run, or a couple years ago there were some really flippy ones, so I can get some really understable flights as well. But the truth allows me to get those same type of throws I was talking about with the judge in the mid-range, and then with the Lucid Glimmer X truth coming out, I actually even have a little more overstable option. And then I complement it with the Justice. Now the Justice is a meat hook, if you've ever thrown one, super overstable, so I don't have to worry too much about winds with that one. And it's overstable enough that it actually helps cover the suspect, which isn't super overstable, allows a little more variety there as well. With fairways, I set escapes. Now the blanket Lucid Escape is going to be a little bit straighter to even understable. But with the hybrid escapes and the Lucid X escapes, so different plastics but same mold, I'm going to get those reliable fades or even a little more aggressive fades, which allows me to cover a lot of lines. And then I have a beat-in Lucid that I can roll. This Lucid I can turn on beautiful turnover lines. So I get, again, those three of those 4 branches with the escape, and then I complement overstable with a felon. Especially Lucid X felons, absolute meat hooks. Regular Lucid felons, still very aggressive, so I get a lot of gradients in my fairways. Long-range drivers, I mostly throw raiders. I don't throw a ton of long-range because I've just come to the conclusion that 9-speed and down is where my arm really is the most effective, but the Raider fits my style well, so I can throw just this regular fusion, and I'll turn a little bit and fade pretty hard. I have 166 that's really flippy, and then I have a pop-top Lucid that's really overstable, so I have the shots that I want in long-range drivers pretty well are covered there. Now I am going to go to a video that I shot with discs on the floor right now, so you can see my bag kind of blown up, so you can see an example of it. Okay, so here's a visual representation of what I was talking about, or at least a decent one. You can see my judges starting here. The owl is my O2 portion. And then you have the soft judge to the right, and then the really beat up soft judge that's going to go even farther right. So these are my putters, and you have the suspect over here as my more overstable complement. You'll notice it's not in the most meat hooky sense, but you will see something more like that in the rest of the categories. Moving up to mid-ranges, I've got the first run truth in that O2 slot. regular run truth and a fusion truth that'll go farther right. And then the Patrol is not a normal disc, but that is one that I'll carry in like super wooded conditions for that really super understable flight. So it's not my normal. But the overstable complement of the Justice, you can see that's much farther over to the right than some of the other discs, just for that super reliable windy portion. Stepping up to fairways, this one's a little bit more slanted just because of the type of discs. Like I said, the Escape isn't quite in that O2 category, but with the Hybrid and the Lucid X category or additions, it fills that. And then the Lucid and the more beat up Lucid over for understable. And then the complementary Felons, the Metal Flake, and then the Lucid X there for the meat hook portions. Long range drivers, really I carry those 3 Raiders most of the time. That Pop Top Raider is my new overstable version. Fusion for the my main driver, and then this lightweight Fusion for the more turnover. And then on really windy courses, I might carry a Lucid X Enforcer or a Metallic Glow Defender. One of the two. But that's a visual representation of what I was talking about on the ground. So if you're looking at it like this, you have the different ranges of distance on the from putters, mids, drivers, and fairways for distance and stability. That's how my bag is structured. Alright, so that's my bag. That's my philosophy. Core discs with overstable complements. Sometimes I'll carry an understable complement if I'm in really wooded conditions, but basically core discs, overstable complements. Now here's a couple of reasons you wouldn't do it the same way I do. Number one, you have a really good forehand. So I should say congratulations, because I don't and I really wish I did. But you might be able to throw hyzers forehand and backhand where I have to cover with an hyzer. So I'm going to carry more understable discs than most forehand throwers. So the core of your bag might be Felons and Enforcers or similar discs, and that's great. But your philosophy is going to be different. I mean, you're still going to cover all those shots, but you're going to do it with the forehand as opposed to an understable disc. The other one is you might not want to be a mold minimalist like me. You might not want to have to worry about beating in truths to different levels. Especially if you lose one, you might be stuck for a little while. So you might want to carry more molds. So for mids, for an example, you might want to carry Verdict, EMAC Truth, Evidence, and Warrant for different gradients, because you know if you lose your Warrant, you can just go get another one. It's super flippy to start. That's perfectly fine. You're covering all the shots. You're just doing it slightly different than I am mold-wise, but I mean you're still doing it similarly disc-wise, similar number of discs, etc. So those are a couple of reasons. I'm sure there are a ton more. Put them below. If you disagree with me on stuff, put it below so we can talk about it. That's my favorite part of this. I think this is a discussion where there's a lot of room to grow on ideas and maybe even come out with some core philosophies that match up so that I can do this video again and do it even better. But if you have any questions or comments, put them below. As always, thanks for watching. If you like this video or found it informative, please feel free to like it, share it, subscribe to the channel. Before I go, I really want to say thank you to my sponsors. We got Dynamic Discs, been with them since 2014. Really appreciate the support there. And then Hazy Shade, we're in year 3 of support from you guys. Appreciate that as well. Everybody have a great day, and we'll see you soon.